Good day to each and everyone. In this presentation, I will be guiding you on how to install Kali Linux on top of our operating system, which is Windows, using third-party applications such as VMware or Oracle VirtualBox. In order to do this kind of operation on our PC, we will be needing two files, namely Oracle VirtualBox and a Kali Linux ISO file. First, we will download the needed files. We'll go to Google Chrome. We will type in virtualbox.org. Then we'll go to downloads, and then you can choose either of the platform packages. In my case, I have Windows. I have downloaded the Windows host. And after you successfully downloaded that file, you will download the Kali Linux ISO file. You will go to kali.org, then we will click on download. And since we are using virtual machines, namely VirtualBox, we will click on virtual machines, and then we will choose either of the two, 64 or a 32-bit architecture. Since I have a 64-bit architecture, I will be downloading the VirtualBox 64-bit version. Please bear in mind that this ISO file takes time to download, since it is almost around 4 gig. After the downloading of the ISO file, we will now install the Oracle VirtualBox. Just click on the application, and then we'll click on run to install the application. We'll click on next. We'll click on next again, next, and we'll agree to this warning, yes, and then we will click install. After we have successfully installed Oracle VirtualBox, we'll click on finish and the program will run. First, we'll delete this one. Now that the VirtualBox is successfully installed, we will now create a Kali Linux file. We'll create a new, and then we will name our operating system Kali Linux. We'll click on next. We'll allocate memory size. I have allocated around 8 gig. In hard disk, create a virtual disk now. Hard disk type, we'll select VDI, VirtualBox disk image, click next. And then in storage on physical hard disk, we'll click on dynamically allocated, click next. And in file location, we will allocate around 8 gig of file location size, and we will create. After the creation, we'll now configure that one. We'll go to settings, we'll go to advanced. Under shared clipboard, we'll select bidirectional, and drag and drop, we'll also selecting bidirectional. We'll go to system. Under system, we will allocate base memory. In my case, I have allocated around 8 gig of base memory. And since most of the PCs nowadays don't use floppy disk, we will Uncheck floppy disk and we will change the boot order from optical and then hard disk. And then we go to processor. We will allocate number of processors. I will allocate 2. This will depend on the capacity of your system. In my case, I only have 4 CPUs. And then we'll go to system display. In video memory, I put this one on max. And then we'll go to storage. Under controller IDE, we'll click on empty. And then we'll click on this blue icon to add our ISO file that we have downloaded a while ago. We'll choose this file and then we will select the ISO file and we will click OK. After we have successfully configured Kali Linux, we will now start installing it on our system. We will click on start. And then the installation will begin. Click on graphical install. We'll enlarge this one. In language selection, I will select English. We'll click on continue and select your location. Since Philippines is not available, we will select on United States and click continue. In keyboard configuration, we'll click on American English and click continue. In configure the network, we'll click on continue. And then if you don't have a domain name, you can leave this one blank. We'll click on continue. And for setup user and password, full name of the new user, we'll name it Kali Linux. I click on continue. And then for username, we'll name it Kali. We'll click on continue. And for password, we will type our desired password. Then we will click on continue. In configuration of the clock, we'll click on Eastern and then continue. And in partition disk, we'll click on we'll select guided use entire disk and click on continue. We'll click continue again, and then we'll click on continue again. Then we will click on continue. Then we will click on yes. And it will begin installing the base system. This will take some time, so please be patient. In software selection, we'll select additional softwares to install within our Kali Linux operating system. We will click on continue. Here we will click on install the GRB bootloader. We will select yes, then click continue, and we'll select the hard disk, and then the installation of the bootloader will begin, and it will continue the installing the Kali Linux system. This will take time also, so the system is finishing the installation, so we'll have to wait and see if the Kali Linux operating system has been successfully installed to our system using virtual machines. And there you go, the Kali Linux operating system has been successfully installed to our system. It says here the installation is complete, so that time boot into your system, make sure you remove installation media or boot system rather than restarting the installation. We will click continue, and then we will test this out if it really works, or we can log into the Kali Linux operating system. There we go. Then we will. It will boot in 3 seconds. Once it go, and then we'll see if it works. Oh, there you go. It works, guys. Glad this one works because I have a hard time installing this one. I have to, if you run with some errors, please check your BIOS, because most of the time the new motherboards have security features that doesn't allow to use virtual machines or that kind of third-party application. So this time we will log into our Kali Linux operating system. We'll put on our username and password and see if it works. We'll check. And there you go, it works. Thank you guys for watching this presentation. Hopefully you will learn how to install Kali Linux using virtual machines. And that's all. God bless and thank you.